the beat, y'all. To the beat, y'all. To the beat, y'all. To the beat, y'all.
Well, good morning, good morning, good morning. It is 10 minutes past the hour on this 20th day of October. Make it happen Monday, another week. Hopefully your weekend went by and went well. We're in the building. Hashtag truth be told, JD Live, your early morning. Get up, wake up, wake up. Man, a lot of folks woke up to all kind of craziness. I know there's a major web outage. I was hoping and praying that we didn't get affected by it. And we did not. Seems to be streaming platforms, gaming platforms. If you woke up this morning trying to look at something, do something, and stuff wasn't working right, you're not by yourself. It is happening to everybody. Everybody. But thank God that your early morning get up, wake up, your inspiration, motivation, information, your conversation that promotes elevation. We in here. We in the building. Good morning. How y'all doing this morning? Tell a friend to tell a friend. Share this with a friend. We are broadcasting live on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, X, at the JDMS. And on YouTube, we are at 100 BLK Media. I don't know about y'all, but in the sporting world, and we'll talk about this probably at the bottom of the hour, I didn't have no love this weekend. Did nobody. Only one team that is my team won this weekend, and that is, and I like to give it up to them, the Grambling State University Tigers. They were victorious this weekend. That's the only team I like that won anything this weekend. My Steelers lost. Southern lost. I mean, everybody lost. The Saints lost. I mean, I don't have nobody that won. Tennessee lost. LSU lost. Everybody that I rooted for lost this. Man, I'm just like, oh my God. Can somebody win? Can somebody win? I see y'all out there. Good morning. Good morning to everybody. Good morning to you. Thank you for logging in. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Share this with a friend. Good morning. I see you on Instagram. I see you on YouTube. Good morning. Good morning. It is a Monday morning. It is a Monday. It is a Monday. I did not want to let that bed go. I did not. I did not. I had to take a good swig of coffee on that one. I did not want to let that bed go. I'm telling you. FYI, the government is still shut down. And something else that you need to know, if the government continues to be shut down, those of you who are receiving SNAP benefits will not receive any more SNAP benefits starting in November. Just remember that. Keep that in mind if you are dependent on SNAP to feed your family, and hopefully you have did some prudent saving and put some things away or got some items that you could still come together and make meals without depending on those monthly benefits. Maybe you let's hope that you don't go month to month and use up all of your provision. That's what I'm hoping for a lot of you. Um, if not, there are people out there because of this and because of this information going out there. There are stores, and I will try to give you a list of them that are doing some types of specials for Thanksgiving, where you can put together what they call a $40 meal. Yeah. But we need to pay attention, family. While we're not paying attention, the government still closed. And it is amazing to me how we turn on TV and you look at social media and you see people in the midst of all types of conversation, but the people talking are still getting paid while the people who are laid off are not getting anything. I just wanted to say that. When you turn on CNN, MSNBC, Fox News, and you see these politicians talking, they're talking about government employees. Those government elected officials are still getting a check, while government employees are not getting paid at all. And folks do not see why the American people are upset. This weekend, a lot of folks outside of homecoming that was going on all over the place, they had a No Kings protest. No King. It's showing you how upset folks are, how terribly disappointed people are in government right now. And we've got to pay attention. We've got to pay attention. Also, across the world, people are, folks, we got real life Ocean's 11 going on, Ocean's 10, Ocean's 12. The Louvre. The Louvre, if you don't know what that is, that's the museum that's in Paris. I lived in Paris a few years of my life. There was some priceless jewels stolen from the Louvre. You still got some Ocean's 11 master thieves out there. Y'all talking about snatch and grabs. Y'all talking about petty theft. They stealing $1 billion of jewels, just like in the movies. Oh my God, in real life. In real life. Another thing I want to discuss, it is 15 minutes past the hour. Family, and I got to discuss this the best way I can. We've got to figure out a way to stop the gun violence. There has been just entirely during this homecoming season, in the last 30 days, there's been just entirely too much senseless gun violence. If I just talk gun violence and shootings, not gun violence, shootings, and homicide or murders. If I just say in the last 30 days, folks who pulled out a gun and shot a gun, discharged the weapon as they use the terminology, but squeezed the trigger and said, pow, 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 pew, pew. It's just too much of that going on, especially in Black and brown community. There's just been too much lately, slow singing and flower bringing. And with that being said, let me take time out and say my heart goes out to any and everyone who has suffered any type of loss due to gun violence. My heart goes out to you. To know that your loved one is no longer here because somebody decided to pick up a gun and not decide to, whatever the issue was, resolve it in a manner which did not take their life. They decided to take their life. And I just have to say, I'm sorry. Sorry that we haven't in this great country. There's two things it seems to be we just cannot get our finger on and get a real resolution. And I'm going to call it what it is. Gun violence and homelessness. There's too many people dying at the hands of gun violence. And it's just too many people for this place to be so rich and abundant with so much resources. There's too many folks that don't have a home, that are homeless, that don't have a roof over their head. Too many children suffering from homelessness, not eating meals, and just too many black and brown children, but children, period. Black, brown, green, blue, purple, white with antennas on their head. I don't care. There's too many kids who should be enjoying their childhood who cannot due to senseless gun violence, homeless. And for some odd reason, we just can't fix that around here. We can't fix that in this country. We can't fix this. And I'm gonna break it down. We can't fix it in the city I live in. We can't fix it in the state I live in. We can't fix it in this region I live in. We can't fix it in this country I live in. And I won't even go outside the United States. I'm gonna keep it right inside the borders. For some odd reason, with all the resources we have, that is one thing that we cannot fix. And I think we have some highly intelligent people that live here in this country. We have achieved a great deal in this country. Some folks will tell you this is the greatest country on this planet. And I won't disagree with them. This is my home. Not only is it my home, it's a place that I raised my hand and swore an oath and said to myself, you know what? I'll defend this country and the Constitution thereof with my life if need be. I've given myself up to service. I've served in politics. I've served the country as a servant. I have been a person who has walked these streets. I have did what needed to be done. And family, I have been thankful that God has blessed me to see many years of sunsets and sunrises and rotations around the sun. You know, I'm headed toward 58. I'll soon be 59, headed toward 60. And I'm thankful because at the age I am, I don't feel like I feel bad. I don't feel like I'm headed toward 60. I don't feel old. I feel actually very well. Don't think I look too bad. I think you know I see folks who younger than me that have aged a lot more progressive than I have. I'm thankful. But 21 minutes past the hour, I asked the question. This is crazy. With all that we have achieved, we cannot resolve homelessness, which includes folks not getting a decent meal. Folks who are homeless normally do not eat a decent meal a day, which include children. And we cannot resolve gun violence. Seems to be every day. Somebody in this country, at least one somebody, dies at the hands of senseless gun violence. And one is one too many. While we're not addressing homelessness and we're not addressing gun violence and we're not addressing why things are going up and my paycheck is staying the same, while we're not paying attention, the government is still shut down. However, the government officials that you elected into office, they are still getting their paycheck. And the woes and the worries of the everyday American, they don't have. They're not worried about how they're going to pay their next bill. They're not worried about, do they have to make a decision between keeping the lights on and keeping food on the table? But you will see them on social media, in the news, in mainstream media, on CNN, Fox News, MSNBC, ABC, CBS, and NBC. You'll see them on the talk shows talking about how the American people feel. You are the ones that we elected to represent us, and the question is, how do you feel? You probably have no problem paying anything. Then you wonder why folks are slowly starting to lose distrust, and there is an erosion of us believing in local government, state government, and federal government. Because you will quickly dismiss, relieve, and get folks out of government while you sit there and still receive the benefits of the vote of the people who put you in office to take care of the people and to take care of the business of the people. I really want to say that again. And I say that 23 minutes past the hour, and I'm going to make you laugh. No, I'm not running for nothing. I had already told a lot of folks who come to me constantly, I would not run for dog catcher. In the state I live in, which is not my home state, but I've been here since 1995, of Louisiana, or my home state of Tennessee, I wouldn't run for nothing. Or I'm this type of individual. If I was to run and I was elected, if the federal government is shut down and I'm a federal elected official, if you're not getting a check, I'm not getting a check either. I don't want my check. If the people who I represent are not getting paid, I don't want to get paid either. I am a man of the people, for the people, and with the people. How many of your politicians are that type of man or woman? I haven't seen anybody in Congress or the Senate forfeit their check yet to give back to the people. Here's my check. Since my people can't get paid, let me donate my check while everything is shut down. Whatever I'm getting paid, let me donate it to either a charity or to something to help somebody. Because let me tell you something, they're not suffering. Their families are not suffering. They're not sitting there trying to figure out where their next meal is coming from. And folk ask the question, why is it that folk don't believe in government? Right now, and I can raise my hand because I have made mistakes in my life, I have never been convicted of any crime. I've made mistakes. I'm not convicted of any crime. I've never been convicted of any crime. I've been arrested. Yes, I have been arrested. But I've never been convicted of any crime. But I have made a lot of mistakes. And like I tell folks, just because you weren't convicted of a crime does not mean you weren't guilty of a crime. It does not mean you didn't get caught. It does not mean you should have been arrested. It just means you were blessed by the grace of God to not get caught up in that situation. Oh, some of y'all know what I'm talking about. Look, it is 26 minutes past the hour. I'm not going to try to get too deep. Hopefully at the bottom of the hour, we'll be getting into sports. We got a lot of sports to go over from this weekend because there was a lot of stuff that was happening. One of the things I want y'all to wake up and understand, please wake up and understand that if things are kind of kooky in cyberspace world right now on your websites, or you're trying to buy something from Amazon or do something, there is a lot of websites that are down. There's an outage if you're trying to stream Hulu, if you're trying to do Disney. There's a lot of stuff that's going that are down. And the government is still closed. And once again, as I was saying earlier, pay attention. Please pay attention. I always watch out my peripherals to see what's going on in the news, because the news is constantly rolling to the left of me. And I ask myself, as I see these experts and these politicians and these political talkers who are still getting a check, talk about how it feels to be an American not getting a check. I ask myself, why don't you then surrender your check to be a blessing to those who are not receiving a check? When I see these town hall meetings with politicians who are sitting up there in their suits and in their nice clothes and in their pantsuits, and women and men who are of the House and of the Senate, and they're discussing why they cannot agree to open up this government and run it, that folks who work for this government can get a check, but they still get their check. I am nothing but completely flabbergasted, and I am bumfuzzled. And I'm sitting there going, you're telling me how the American people feel. You're an American. Do you feel that way? Or are you not getting your check? 28 minutes past the hour. Have you ever in your life wondered where your next meal is coming from? These are the people that we elect to represent us. But do they really represent us? Have they really came from the mud like some of us came from the mud? Have they really ever had to try to figure out, do I pay the light bill or do I put food on the table? Do they know how it feels to work 40 hours a week and look at your check and your check is BMI, barely making it? If not making it at all. But these are the folks that we elect to represent us. I say to you today, maybe we're electing the wrong people to office. Because to me, a real person of the people, there is no way I'm not getting paid, but you're sitting up there getting paid and you're trying to tell me how I feel not getting paid. If the government is shut down, the whole government needs to be shut down. Nobody needs to be getting a check, in my opinion. Nobody. And believe you me, as folks say around here, and I remember the first time I heard that, I was like completely lost. But believe you me, if these senators and these House of Representatives and these congressmen and these congresswomen and these folks who make the policy weren't getting paid right now, there would be a resolution on the table to get this government up and started. Be exact, the government would have never shut down. If there was their monthly check and provisions on the table, that if this government shut down, guess what? Congress, you don't get a check. Senate, you don't get a check. President, whoever sits in that seat, you don't get a check. Nobody gets a check. Nobody. Not now, folks. The FBI, the CIA, nobody. Nobody gets a check. Nobody. If the government shut down and you work for a government agency, you don't get a check. But right now, everybody is getting a check except the low people on the totem pole. The American citizens that voted these folks into office. I haven't seen Marjorie Taylor Greene. I haven't seen Hakeem Jeffries. I ain't seen Steve Scalise. I'm naming Democrats and Republicans. I haven't seen Chuck Schumer. I haven't seen Jeff Landry. I'm gonna go local. I ain't seen my mayor. I ain't seen nobody in government when government shuts down. I ain't seen nobody in government that I put in office that don't know one day of making a decision between a bill and food on the table, surrender their pay and say, if the people ain't getting paid, I'm not getting paid either. But these are the folks you elect to represent yourself. These are the folks that walk through the hood, but ain't never lived a day in the hood. These are the folks that attach themselves to people in the hood who have hidden agendas, who say to themselves, oh, this is good. Y'all, listen, I love Stephen A. Stephen A, to me, is sometimes a truth sayer, a truth teller. Sometimes I'll be very honest with you. I don't think folks really can deal with Stephen A because Stephen A is just a controversial, I'm going to say it like it is. He has lately been walking that thin line of coonery. And I'm really worried about that because I like Stephen A. But he's been walking a thin line with me of coonery. Because if you're going to check somebody, you check everybody. You just don't check selected folks and tell selective truth. See, that's what's starting to bother me about a lot of folks. Y'all want to check selective folks and tell selective truth. And here's the thing. You're not lying. You're just not telling the whole story. See, you just telling me what's going on the left, what's going on in the progressive land, what's going on with Jasmine Crockett. You ain't telling me what Marjorie Taylor Greene is saying. You ain't talking about what Steve Bannon is talking. You ain't talking about what Glenn Beck is talking, but you're telling me about Marjorie Taylor Greene and you're telling me about what AOC, and what you're telling is the truth, but you ain't telling the whole story. And to me, that's coonery. That's a line of coonery, a thin line of coonery, and I'm calling it what I believe it is. Now, if you don't like it, guess what? As you notice, I don't say this broadcast is sponsored by anybody. It's sponsored by my paycheck. And listen, family, I hustle and I hustle hard and I hustle legally hard. And I'm one of them Americans that I can tell you I'm working more than one job. I wake up every morning looking at contracts and looking at other stuff, and I do more than one thing just to make sure I have what I need to do, what I need to do, and can do it unbothered and unfiltered. We trying to start a war with Venezuela. Pay attention. The government's closed down, but we're able to drop munitions, supposedly stop all these drug traffickers in Venezuela. Understand something. Anytime you do a strategic tactical operation, it costs money, big money. But the government shut down. We targeting Colombia. Whew. And for those of you who don't know the English language, which eventually a lot of us don't, the tariffs, which are a tax, a tariff is a tax. A tariff is a tax. A tax, by another word, is a tariff. Is making the cost of living almost unlivable throughout this country. Things I listen, I used to give you a prime example. Things that were costing me $2 now cost $5. I literally went and got something that I hadn't gotten in a long time. Last time I got it was maybe 6 months to a year ago, and it was $2. That same product, I went and got it 2 days ago. It was $5. It went from $2 to $5. That's more than double. When I asked the store merchant why had this thing increased so much, they said it was the tariffs. But you voted for this. And once again, we vote for folks to represent us, but do they really represent us? Are the people that we're voting for ever went through a day in the life of what you, the average Mr. and Miss American, go through? Ask yourself that question. Black and brown folks who are so quick to, that's a good man, that's a good woman. Has that good man or good woman for one day and one day only, went through what you went through in your entire life? Ask yourself that question. 36 minutes after the hour. Have they or their family went through one day in your shoes? Have they? But they're good. That's a good man. That's a good woman. And you did solicit other black and brown folks to vote for them. And I understand, because I've been in the political game, and those people that you are asking these folks to vote for have already made promises to you and have made sure that you and your family, throughout the term of their being elected to whatever said office, they're going to make sure you all right. And I get that. But ask yourself the question, is the person, why do we vote for the lesser of two evils? Why? Can we not find a suitable candidate who has literally went through what we went through, whose family has went through what we went through? And then why is it that when we do finally make it, we forget where we came from? I'm asking some serious questions on this Make It Happen Monday. Welcome to JD Live, hashtag Truth Be Told. In the back of my head, I heard Cash Money is an Army, better yet a Navy. See, I don't need a whole bunch of folk with me. I open this vehicle up every morning, Monday through Friday. And if you want to jump on and you want to be in here with conversation that promotes elevation, you are welcome. I have some great people who roll with me. Brother Bowtie, supreme scholar, connoisseur of good cigars, bow ties, and fine clothing. One day you're going to wake up and he's going to have his own haberdashery. He is a trendsetter. It surprises me how many folks follow him. Folk wasn't even thinking about having their own cigars, watched him, and now they got their own cigars, their own bow tie brand, and tried to do what he does. And guess what? That's the best compliment you can get when somebody tries to imitate you. I can go back 20 years ago when nobody was even thinking about doing Facebook Lives and Instagram Lives, and I was there with other folks learning the craft of conversation through social media, through using these platforms. I'm one of the innovators. I'm one of the creators, and I'm proud of it. And guess what? I don't need nobody to pat me on the back. I know who I am. See, when you know who you are and what you've done, you don't need people to thank you. You don't need people to congratulate you. You know what you've done. You know what you've accomplished, and you can bask in the ambience of your own success without one hand clap, without one pat on the back, without any of that, because you know who you are. I know who I am. As my shirt says, I am Black history. And once again, at 39, I'm about to take 10 minutes away, but let me give the 10 minutes back. 39 minutes past the hour. I ask yourself this question. Have you not paid attention that the government is still shut down? Oh, you're going to pay attention real soon, because if you get SNAP benefits, they end November 1. If the government is not up and running, your SNAP benefits end November 1. So all of a sudden, when this trickle down, when this all of a sudden what started at the top starts affecting the bottom, let's see how people act. And at the same time, I brought it up earlier in the broadcast, there seems to be 2-3 things that we can't even resolve, even when the government is running. Senseless gun violence, homelessness, and how can folks eat a decent meal? Those things are not happening. But watch this. The folks we have in office to resolve the problem have never had the symptoms or suffered. Most of them. Now, there might be a few exceptions to the rule. But most of the folks that we have elected to Congress, to the Senate, most of our local officials, local, state, and federal officials have never, most, if not all, have never suffered what the average American suffers, or dealt with living like the average American has. If you literally right now ask yourself, how many of your local officials' kids go to private schools? You elected them to help with your child in public school, and their kids go to private school. So how can they really legislate what they don't even be connected to? Because they're connected to what's best for their kids, and what's best for their kids is not to go to public school. That's why they send them to private schools. You elect officials who have not one day been in the hood except when they come and ask you for your vote. You don't see them in the hood unless they're asking you for the vote. To be exact, they have all kind of stuff in the hood while they're trying to get your vote. Once they get in office, all their conferences, media conferences, all their communications happen outside the hood. They were all in the hood when they needed to get your vote. Now, all of a sudden, they in office. Everything they have, if they want to talk about police brutality, they have it on neutral grounds in their setting, in their backyards, at places that they like. They don't come back to the hood. They don't come back to the place that plagued the area. They find their safe places, and once they get in, are they really representing you and I, Mr. and Mrs. Average American? And I understand we have a couple of black and brown folks who look like you and I who will usher these folks into our community and say, that's a good man right there. That's a good woman right there. Tell the truth. They're a good man and a good woman because they made you good promises that they're going to take care of you and your people. But they didn't tell you they were going to take care of the hood. They told you, if you can convince these folks to vote for me, I'm going to take care of you. Tell the truth and shame the devil. I know. Listen. Been there, done that. You can go and call my former employee, the person who employed me, my employer. When I worked for government, I worked for a Republican. I worked for a guy they call Baby Trump. I worked for a mayor, president, everybody to this day called him Baby Trump, Josh Guillory. call Josh right now and say, how many times did Joe sell out his black folks or his black people to be the chief of minority affairs when I appointed him to chief of minority affairs? And he'll tell you, Joe came in my office more times than one that I had to point and tell him to leave my office because I didn't want to hear that. Because Joe never came in there and said, oh, Mr. Mayor, no, Joe told me what the truth was. That is not good for my people. That is not good for the minority community. And I said that to him. I said that to his CAO. I walked in and many a times they looked me dead in the face with a side look like, what do you mean? Yes, I'm going to tell you what it is. If I represent the people, I'm not going to come in there and tell you what's best for you to hear. I'm going to tell you what's best for the people. I didn't stay in that job long. Not because Josh and Sidra didn't want me, because Josh didn't win the election. And you know, and folks say, well, you sound like you upset. I'm upset anytime that a person gets the opportunity to be in there and be in a position to speak for the people. And the only people they're speaking for is the people that they're concerned about. You should be concerned about all the people. If you represent all the people, be concerned about all the people, not just your people. Not just your people, that's your clique. When I say your people, I mean your people who's your clique. So now, this is funny. Like today, when I get off this, I have class today. And yes, family, I have no shame in my game. Since somebody went ahead and tried to do a little Google search and research stuff, I am in Walden University pursuing my PhD. And in 2027, if the Lord allows me to wake up and see August of 2027, I will be hooded Dr. Anderson. And I will continue to teach, and I will continue to inform, and I will continue to lecture, and I will try to bring up the next generation of individuals who study what I am studying to understand how to be a person that is best for their communities and best in their profession, not just for folks that look like them, but for everybody. Understand this. Yesterday, I was listening to my good friend Fatim Muhammad. I was listening to the Open Line On Lines, WBLS. Fatim and I are great friends. Fatim is one of the esteemed alumnus of Community Conversations. All of this, everything I do, hashtag Truth Told, JD Live, it started with the brainchild of Community Conversation. That's why it falls under, all this falls under Community Conversation, because we need to be talking. We need to be talking, and we need to say this. I ain't telling you what to think, how to think, but I am telling you the following. You need to think. And I heard yesterday a law enforcement officer in New York that's retired talked about, why are we not getting into law enforcement as Black and brown folks? Great benefits, great pay, and it is. I know. I'm in it. And even in me being in what I'm in, the manner that I came in and how I did it, I still do other things. And I do other things not so much for the income, but for what I call now my own security and safety blanket of, if one day somebody comes in and says you are no longer needed here, which happened to me in government. See, so when folks say, man, you sound kind of bitter about this government thing, let me tell you why I sound bitter. Because 3 days after being told, man, you're going to be all right, everything's fine, we understand that you were here representing the people. I didn't even get the courtesy of the person who got elected to office walking in my office saying, we appreciate your service, you are no longer needed. I got a phone call, not from her, but from the person that she chose to be her CAO. And the phone call wasn't a pleasant one. It wasn't no, thank you, we appreciate you. It was, you're no longer needed. This is the day you will no longer be here. HR tell you when you get your last check. You have a nice day. Bye. And then here's the crazy thing. Folks tell me, but you're not kind to those folks. Would you be kind to those folks if they spoke to you like that? No, I'm not. Could care less about what happens to them, but I am concerned about the people that they govern, because those people are my people. I am a man of the people, for the people, and with the people. Ask yourself, is your elected officials really that? Look at how your elected officials are living, and look at yourself. and say, what have they did to increase my betterment and my quality of life? And then look at their friends and family members and see how much better their quality of life and how they're looking. And ask yourself, did you elect somebody that's only concerned about them and theirs? Are they concerned about you and yours and everybody's? Those questions are the questions you need to start asking. Oh, and once again, don't call me. Don't do it. Don't do it, because I'll put you on blast tomorrow. Tomorrow is Tell the Truth Tuesday. So do know I get calls from people constantly, mainly Republicans, who are convincing me that, man, I know that you're a registered Democrat, and I know, but I really feel like you would be a good person to be a part of our party. And they always are asking me to run for certain things. And guess what I tell them all the time? I can't do that because y'all truly don't represent who I am. See, I'm not selling out nothing for nobody for one piece of silver. Like I told you, I don't only study to become a doctor, PhD. Yes, sir. Not the doctor that operates on you, but to say I've received the highest degree in the level of the degree that I am trying to obtain. I read this book. I read about how Judas was. And then I try to find other literatures and do searches to figure out, is there anybody who really wrote and told you about Judas? And I understand that folk will roll with you and be jealous of you. I understand that folk will be with you, beside you, see everything you did and be a part of your posse, but they will secretly cannot stand you because everybody in your circle ain't in your corner. And that one that's in your circle but ain't in your corner, that's your Judas. And that's the one you got to watch out for. That's the one that always, when you do stuff, got a kiki in the background. Uh-huh. See what he did? See what she did? That's the one that always be scrolling, watching your timeline, looking at your stuff, but won't like or share anything you do. Those are the folks who are always on your page and they can't stand you, but they too nosy to unfriend you. Because you just might get to where they feel like you shouldn't get to, and they'll be the first one to say, oh, that's my boy, that's my girl. No, it's not. I just finished looking at a friend of mine's page, and just like what she just said, keep moving forward. That's what you got to do. Keep pushing, keep moving forward, regardless of what they say or what they do. Guess what? I was listening to Cat Williams, and Cat was right. I am proud and privileged and happy. Actually, I don't have enough. That means I ain't doing enough. I need more haters. I need folks out there hell bent on making sure that folk can't stand me. I need more haters. Be exact. If I got 5 haters, I need 5 more. Because if I'm really a man of the people, for the people, and with the people, just like most of these folks who are at high places who tell you, thank you for your vote. Thank you for putting me in here. I will do all I can to make sure that things are better for you. They really don't. They just happy that now you done put them in a place, in a position where they can help their friends, their family, and they really don't give a damn about you. And since I'm of the people, for the people, and with the people, I'm glad you hate me. I want you to hate me. Guess what, baby? I ain't one of them shuck and jive brothers who gonna always be in your face going, oh, yes, ma'am. Uh-huh, I understand that, man. Yes, ma'am. I'm not a Motiza nigga. I ain't Motisa, Moti, ma'am. No, I ain't a Motiza nigga. I am that brother who will come in like Django and say, man, what the hell going on here? This is not good for my people. Yeah. Yeah. We got folks out there who come up with organizations. They take the best of us. Now, let me give you a prime example. I live in a place, and it's 8 minutes to the top of the hour. They have a thing called Lead Louisiana. For us, by us, for us, by us, doing what it needs to do. It's crazy. Yeah, for us, by us, doing what it needs to do. it's hard to get people to even promote or talk about Lead Louisiana for us, for Black and Browns, by Black and Browns, giving the Black and Brown agenda. However, they have another cohort out there that's not for us, not by us, does not push our agenda, and just started not too very long ago letting us in there. But once we start getting to be a part of somebody else's thing that they didn't want us to be a part of from the jump, oh, we get in there and we try to all of a sudden, oh, y'all, look, they accepting us. No, they're not accepting us. They're taking the best of us and trying to inundate and indoctrinate the best of us to see things their way, where we can go back and encourage those other of us that these are good, these are good people here, right? I'm going to say this again. I'm going to say it until I can't say it no more. Y'all talk like DEI is a disease. It's not. Y'all talk like reparations is a problem. It's not. You talk as if slavery never happened, but even though you may not have owned a slave, you are a direct recipient of the benefits of slavery. Because when this race started back in 16, 15, or whenever, 17, whenever, this race did not start with me and you at the same starting point. To be exact, the race was over before you even decided to put me on the track. And then you want to know why I feel, and to have the mitigated gall and audacity in the state of Louisiana to talk about racial gerrymandering. We'll talk about that tomorrow on Tell the Truth Tuesday. I'm just amazed how we don't pay attention. Sadly, many of our leaders are corrupt, tainted, and have their own issues, but I'd rather run with our corrupt, tainted, and own issue leaders before I run with theirs. Because their leaders have the same issue. And I bet on Black every time. So that means you could be a Black person I got problems with. I'm betting on you before I bet on one of them that got the same problem. Who taught y'all to hate yourself? It seems to amaze me how they can do all type of malice, all kind of issues, do everything in the world, and y'all still be sitting there. You know that's a good man. You know that's a good woman. Brother Fatim, I needed you on here, bro. I needed you on here. I know you like, ooh, because I told him I am Black history. Statue of Liberty is a Black woman. Come on, listen. Don't let these folk keep telling you Jesus was white. He wasn't. Now you can have the Pope, the local diocese, and everybody else. Jesus was white. He wasn't. His 12 disciples, they weren't. It's 4 minutes. 4 minutes to the top of the hour. Man, I got fired up. I was watching the open lines yesterday for team, and I loved the conversation. Because I love how they said your boy Mandani has got a brother in there who is a former police officer who is a brother who is giving him some advice. And I'm sure that's not the only person. But Mandani, and guess what? They can talk about him all they want to. I don't know. I'm not a New Yorker. But it's going to be, if this man wins the mayor of the biggest city in the United States of America, I'm curious to see. And I know, family, I know it ain't going to be easy. Because when we do get the person in place that we need to get in place, they always have tactics to make that person either seem like they done lost their mind, like right now. And I got to say this, 3 minutes, top of the hour. I'm trying to get out of here at the top of the hour. I got school today, but I got to say this. I am amazed how 8 years of Barack Obama, they still try to make you feel like those were the worst 8 years in America. No scandal. The debt was lower than it is today. We had a surplus. Everything was, your check may not have been what it is, but it was making things were at a level where it was tolerable. But people will try to convince you that the worst 8 years in American history was when Barack Obama was president. That's a lie. That's a lie. And why will they do that? Right now, I hear people arguing the ACA. Oh my God, the ACA was a horrible idea. No, it wasn't. It wasn't a perfect idea, but it wasn't a horrible idea that everybody needs to have health insurance. But no, it was a horrible idea because it wasn't your idea. It wasn't the idea that came from Monsieur Candy. See, some of y'all, it ain't a good idea unless it comes from Candyland. That's your problem. If it don't come out of Monsieur Candy's mouth, oh, y'all Stevens and Stevenettes, if it don't come from Monsieur Candy, a Mrs. Candy, it ain't the truth. They water is much colder than the water in the hood. They are much more educated. They universities are much better than the they schools are much better. No, they're not. Who taught you to hate yourself? Time for me to get out of here, family. Before I go too deep down this rabbit hole. Listen, family, tomorrow is Tell the Truth Tuesday. Maybe I'll have the esteemed alumnus, Brother Fatim, to come on tomorrow if he's available. Listen, family, this has been JD Live this morning. Hashtag Truth. So the government still shut down. Pay attention. Pay attention. Start asking yourself, if I'm going to give my vote for a person who represents me, how much of my life have they lived? And how much do they know about how I am living? And how much do they know or want to promote the elevation of my living conditions to be better? I ain't running for nothing. But I am a man of the people, for the people, and with the people. Time for me to get up out of here, family. And I'm going to say it like I always say it about this time. Need y'all to be better today than you were yesterday. And I need you to do something today to be a blessing to somebody somewhere that no matter what you do, there's no earthly way they could ever pay you back. And always remember that there is no secret what God can do, what he has done for others, he will and he can do for you. For when God is with you, nothing or no one can stand against you. Be blessed. Have a wonderful day. Start your week off the right way. First, start it off with God or whomever you may worship. Look at the Most High and say, I thank you for this opportunity of this week. And be the best you can be for you first, then for your house, then for your community, your street. Just start off with self. Love thyself. I'm up out of here. Y'all have a good one. Gotta go. Peace.